Hi everyone, Coach Alexa here. We are coming into autumn, my favourite season, as you can perhaps tell by my wallpaper. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about getting out on the trails. Now, I think that getting out on the trails is good for us both physically and mentally. So I'll start by talking a little bit through why I think that. So when we're trained as coaches, one of the fundamentals that we're taught about to try and work into people's running training plans are agility, balance and coordination, the ABCs. And if you think back to sort of school PE lessons, you'll perhaps notice that they sneak that in quite a lot. So all those games with sort of stopping in hoops, picking up little bean bags, changing direction, are all about developing a child's agility, balance and coordination, because it's a fantastic foundation for pretty much any sport. And as adults, we can sometimes not be too great at it. So my experience in coaching groups and individual runners, you would be surprised at the number of people that can't stand on one leg, for example. So trail running is actually a great way to challenge ourselves a little bit. So if you think about it on a road surface, it's quite flat, sideways and out in front of you. It's very predictable. Each footfall is pretty much the same. Whereas on a trail, you always get these slight undulations. Each footfall is going to be slightly different. You might have more ups and downs coming up in front of you, but also sort of sideways. You might have different types of kind of underfoot conditions, from mud and puddles through to slippy rocks, or kind of deep, squishy forested surfaces. So your body has to adapt and adjust to all of these, really testing out that agility and balance and coordination, which sets a great kind of bit of groundwork for our running. I also think that it's quite good from a kind of running loading perspective as well. So if you think about running is quite high impact and repetitive movement pattern sport. And again, the more we can put a little bit of variety in, so different sort of underfoot conditions, different footfalls on landing each time, the more we can just mix up that repetitive nature of the sport a little bit. And I also think it's kind of good mentally as well when we're having to pay attention a little bit more to where our feet are landing. We're having to take up a little bit more of our brain space, checking out the trail ahead, our subconscious brain making decisions about where we're going to land. Are we going to shorten our stride, lengthen our stride? Are we going to jump over that log? We get drawn more naturally just into the moment. We have to concentrate more on what we're doing than if we're just running down a flat road pavement. And I think that helps quite a lot with mindfulness, because you are concentrating on now and you don't have as much space in your brain for worrying about the past and the future. If you are interested in getting out on the trails but you don't have a lot of experience, I'd suggest starting with a local park or open space or village green, or football pitches or whatever might be local to you. Just a nice kind of flattish grass surface will start to have a little bit of bounce, bit of change in texture underfoot, particularly if it's wetter parts or drier parts or puddles. Start getting you used to those sorts of trails. Then along rivers and canals are great, not too challenging in terms of the hilliness, but again you get that gentle variety in terrain. And then if you would like, you can disappear down the rabbit hole that I have very much enjoyed going down, which is plotting your routes on maps, picking more interesting looking places, running through beautiful woodland and really taking advantage of the countryside around where you live and exploring it. There are loads of trail races throughout the year now, but still quite a glut of them over the winter as the road racing season kind of tapers down a little bit. So, always try out a local trail race as well. It's a lovely kind of marked course way, generally speaking. Some of them are self-navigation, so do check, of getting to know, a new area, a new route. And what you'll find, generally speaking, on the trails is it's less about time and competitiveness and more about everybody together, sort of versus the terrain, the course, the elements, the winter weather. So you'll find it quite friendly and quite sort of supportive. And it discourages competitiveness to a degree, because, a time that you did on exactly the same course the previous year, where the weather for the previous 2 weeks had been a bit drier and it wasn't raining on the day, will be quite different to one where the previous 2 weeks had been wet and the weather's wet on the day. So a little bit less about competitiveness and more about enjoyment a lot of the time with racing out on the trails. Anyway, I hope that's inspired you. If you scroll back through my YouTube channel, you will find a previous video that I did on trail shoes to give you a little bit of an introduction if you don't have a pair yet. But as always, let me know any questions in the comments.